We should switch seats sometime. We should switch positions.
That would be weird.
It would throw people off.
It would throw me off.
Hey, welcome back to the Wake Coaching Podcast. I'm Jeff. This is
Allie.
Yes. And here we are talking about business, life, family, legacy, all things that matter to us and matter to most people. And so, but today we want to talk about something super important. I know in the previous podcast, we've talked about the importance of rest. And we wanted to drill down even a little bit further. I know sometimes when you think about rest, like the American westernized idea of rest is like I work 51 or 52 weeks a year. And then I travel to Mexico for 7 days for an all-inclusive. And I eat, sleep, drink, and do as much stuff as I possibly can to consume because I've earned it.
The work hard, play hard
concept. And then you come back from your 7 days you take off of the 365 days. And then you are not rested because you didn't sleep properly, because you overate and you overdrank and you're sunburnt and you're like, you're not even comfortable in your clothes anymore. And you're like, that is the westernized view of rest. So the westernized way of resting is literally killing us. And so with that in mind, I remember I talked about this. I was a pastor for 25 years. And I remember talking about this concept of rest. And I remember saying this because I think most people, they have maybe 10 days of PTO a year or 14 days, or maybe you've been at your job for a long time, maybe 4 whole weeks of PTO, which is great. But imagine if you could add literally 52 days to your PTO every year, what that would look like. People are like, okay, like that. People leaned in. They're like, what do I do? Tell me about that. And it's simply this. And here's the secret, maybe not a secret. It's been around literally for millennia. The idea of a Sabbath, taking a Sabbath. And Sabbath, literally, it's honoring the day of rest. Now, if you go all the way back to the beginning, this is a biblical view of creation, why we're all here. It said on the seventh day, God rested. Everything else he did, he created the world, he spoke it into existence, he formed man out of dirt, breathed into us, we're made in his likeness and his image. And on day 7, God rested. And I think there's a significance there because oftentimes I think today we've put ourselves in God's place, but yet none of us rest, right? I've been in conversations with people before where the idea of rest, you just don't rest. You just grind. You just go at it. You don't need a day off. And you're like, well, if God rested, why don't we?
We look at that as almost like a badge of honor. Like we think we are so tough and so important and so productive, right? Because we have such busy schedules and no downtime. And well, we work hard during the week and then we come home and get projects done and play hard, traveling, going out, doing things. And all of it, I think, gives us this false sense of importance. Or that's like kind of why we're doing it. And it makes no sense.
No, ultimately it doesn't. Ultimately, I think it's kind of a race to nowhere. I think part of it is an overinflated sense of importance. I think that's part of it, where we don't rest. I know the person that responded to my friend who talked about resting and taking Sabbath, the guy's like, you don't need to rest. You just need to work harder. And I was like, this guy normally has really good things to say. But in this case, I was like, you actually sound like an idiot. And so we value rest in the idea of Sabbath, that additional 52 days a year. If you honored that, you know, what could that look like? What would that look like? So let's talk a little bit about what a Sabbath looks like. And then even bigger picture, the idea of what a sabbatical looks like. They're both rooted in the same root word. So Sabbath, day of rest, and sabbatical, which is an extended period of time of rest. So Sabbath.
So Sabbath is simply a day that you are not working. You are not focused on being productive, but it truly is rest. It's worship. It's time with your family. It's filling back up, really. And I actually recently read through Genesis and Exodus, and it's talking about all the law and all the things. And it was crazy. It was like, if you don't take the Sabbath, that person literally needs to be like excommunicated. Like, wow, that's hardcore. Serious. But it made me think, like, what would a real Sabbath look like if I took it that seriously, right? Where I'm really not working or being productive in any way. Like you're not even taking the trash out, or you're not doing any laundry, or you're not.
Here's a prime example of that. I've been to Israel multiple times in the past few years. And they have this thing on Sabbath, which for them, like Sabbath for America generally is like Sunday, right? But Sabbath for them is it's sundown on Friday to sundown on Saturday. And they get everything prepared for Sabbath. They prepare the Sabbath meal beforehand. They will even turn the lights on or off in their home to be like, this is where we want it on Sabbath, because they believe that even flicking a light switch is creating. And God literally
doing something productive.
Yeah, doing
in a
something
way.
productive.
Yeah.
So even turning on a light switch is the same as creating. So they don't turn on light switches. So they prepare their home. They design it for Sabbath before Sabbath starts so they can enjoy it when they do. And there's a really interesting thing. The hotels that we were in, on Sabbath, they had the elevators set to Sabbath setting, which was like the door would be open when you walked up to it, and you'd get in, and it would stop at every floor. You wouldn't touch a button, but it was set that it'd stop at
That's so
every
great.
floor and open the door so you could get on or off without touching a button, because the idea of touching a button was creating. Now, do I think that's a little bit to the extreme? Yes.
Possibly.
But big picture, the idea is that they are so even religious about their rest that they're not willing to push a button to get in an elevator or flick a light switch, because they don't want to dishonor the practice of Sabbath rest.
To me, it's a bit of a challenge. It's a challenge for us, but then maybe to you as well, to really practice the Sabbath and not be ridiculous about it.
Not
we don't
to
need
that
to be extreme.
Yes.
Right, but really do challenge yourself, because if you're actually thinking of all the things you do throughout the day on the Sabbath, whatever day that is for you, I realize there's still so much of focus of being productive.
100%.
And it's just in us. It's part of our culture. And so you just don't even realize to the degree that we have it ingrained. And I have a hard time resting until I feel like I've had a certain amount of productivity in the day. I have to earn the rest.
Yeah.
And so I even approach a Sunday that way, or a Sabbath that way. So it's a challenge just to even be aware and have a greater focus and intentionality about that Sabbath.
So I would even say this for Sabbath, because part of it is like, if you're not designing your life, you're defaulting your life. And so choose the day. Is it Saturday? Is it Sunday? What is the day of rest for you and for your family? And like, A, choose it, and then B, design it. Because, okay, if I know that Saturday is our Sabbath, well, I know I have to mow the lawn, or I have to have the lawn mowed the day before. And I know I can't do this on Saturday because, maybe Saturday's not the best day. Well, let's look at Sunday. What does Sunday look like? Okay.
You have to have meals prepped.
Meals
the day before,
prepped. You have
right?
to have where you can really enjoy it,
Yeah.
where you're like, obviously you can still warm up your meal or whatnot, but it's to the point where like, hey, I've done the majority of my work. I've designed my rest, and I've done the work on Saturday. So Sunday, I can roll into Sunday and I don't have to feel guilty because I've done the work already. I feel like, okay, now I've earned my rest, if does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I'll just say this too. Well, a lot of times people push back on the idea of rest because there's just so much to do.
Yes.
There's so much to be done. Life is so busy. There's so much going on. And I would say, I think that is the time when you need rest and Sabbath, or just to take a time out the most.
Yep.
And I've noticed that in the scripture too, like Jesus in his life, they would have huge groups following them. So it was
Thousands
finally
of
when
people.
he was gaining kind of a following and notoriety, and they would be pursuing him and wanting more, and he would just disappear. And the disciples would be like, what are you doing? Like, all these people are waiting for you.
Right.
And he's like, I'm going to be with my Father, right?
I'm going to go rest.
I'm going to go rest.
Refill,
I'm going to go take time out.
recharge. Yeah.
And so I love that, though, that idea of like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, things are finally building up. Like, things are finally happening. There's so much going on. There's so much success or work to be done. And yet you're taking time out. It's like, it's the routine of just resting. And that is what makes life more sustainable.
100%. And I think with that, like, it's just interesting what you said there. It gave me this thought that you'll have to fight for rest. right? When you design it, you'll have to fight for it because the crowds might be saying, but Jesus, now's the best time. Let's strike while the iron's hot. Let's throw some gas on this. We're about to blow this up, right? We're about to go viral with this. And you're like, actually, Jesus takes off the other direction. You're like, well, that doesn't make sense. I think there's going to be a lot of things in society that will be like, well, it makes sense to continue to pour gas on the fire. Like, oh, your kid is about to make the A team of traveling sports. And what it means is that, oh, he has or she has practice on Sunday now. And if you just do this one additional practice, well, guess what? Then they're going to make the team. And it seems like at that point, well, now's the time to put the gas on. But then you're like, well, okay, one more time. You're now delegating the future and even the culture of your home to that coach or to that sport, rather than saying, hey, no, actually, we're the creators of the culture of our home and even like our legacy to a degree. And so we're actually choosing to maybe give up the higher level team and have family time and have a family meal. I just saw a stat this week that most American families are eating together less than 3 times a week. And that's because it's not by design. They're defaulting to whatever priority or important thing is being told to them. Like, well, this is urgent and important. And you're like, but my kid is 7. Do they really need to go practice at 10 p.m.? No, they don't. But we default that way.
Yeah, our society is a society of urgency.
100%. Everything is urgent.
We need to make the decision to put important things over the urgent things, because urgent will win over important every single time if you allow it.
And if you don't decide it, it will never happen, right? It will, like, rest will never happen if you don't decide to make it happen. Because to your point, everything, everyone, coaches, like your kids, friends, families are saying, well, this is super urgent. This is super important. They need to do this. And you default your decisions and therefore default your life to these decisions, into these people, into these external pressures, rather than saying, no, actually, we have something more important that we're choosing over this thing that seems so urgent or important to you.
Yeah. So, bottom line, Sabbaths.
It's not easy, but it is so incredibly important.
Absolutely. So next time we'll talk about sabbatical.
So be sure to come back. That was Sabbath. That was rest. Next time we'll talk about elongated time of rest. And so thank you for joining us. The Wake Coaching Podcast. Once again, Jeff, Allie, thanks for being here. You want to switch seats now?
No.